All right, so for just a minute in my love shirt, you know what I wanted to talk about? This is some random thing that came up. Doreen Virtue, PhD. Do you know who she is? Good old Doreen and her Ascended Masters card deck. I actually happen to have the one. If you know anything about Doreen Virtue, you probably don't, but if you do, she was a bit of a spiritualist. That's not a word. Spiritualist? I don't know. Angelologist for sure. She was big in Hay House. She had a bunch of courses about angels and, angelology and knowing your angels and talking to angels. She had certification courses. Like, she has like a trillion books. Like, she's, out there. And I have her, Ascended Masters card deck, which, well, let me tell you what happened to Doreen Virtue. My friend brought it up the other day, and I was like, I need to look into this. So apparently Doreen Virtue, from her angelology and all her spirituality, and an Ascended Master, if you don't know what it is, it's supposed to be someone who like achieved enlightenment on earth and is there on the other side helping us. Like Jesus, he's a well-known Ascended Master, Buddha, Saint Germain, like all these different characters, and they each have a card in their deck. And I like pulling from her deck because I think it's a way you communicate with like your Holy Spirit, your fourth dimensional self, your inner being. It tells me to do yoga. Why there's a yoga card in this deck, God only knows. But it tells me to meditate and do yoga, things of that nature. Well, Doreen Virtue a little while ago decided she was going to be a Christian. She went full on Christian. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but not just did she claim to now be Christian and that Jesus came to her in a vision and said he was the one and only God. But the concerning thing is she decided to claim everything else she ever did was demonic. That's right. This here, my friends, my little deck that says things like, get some energy healing, go to nature, nurture yourself. Here's Mother Mary telling me to nurture myself. Demonic. That's right. Flat out. Burn it. That's what she's saying. All of her visions were demonic. Everything else she wrote. Don't talk to angels. I don't know why angels would be demonic. They're in the Bible and they're on the side of God. But she's gotten in with these guys who say that any kind of vision is demonic. Even the one where Jesus came to her wasn't really Jesus, apparently. And that all of those things are part of the enemy trying to take her down. And this is an interesting thing because I don't want to frown on her journey. Go do your thing, Doreen. Be Christian. That's awesome. Be on talk shows, do whatever you want to do. But what's weird about it is something I was touching on in a video before, which was like, why do we have to make everything wrong or things wrong to be right? And that's one thing where I really have a bone to pick with Christianity. And then like, she can't go into this new journey unless she claims everything she did was demonic. But that's really bad for people. People paid for her certifications, for her courses. She's claiming she wants to try to pay people back. I don't know. There's some financial piece, I think, to it if you do a little digging. But, and like completely disregarding the old. And isn't it funny that when we do that, we say, oh, I'm a Republican now. The Democrats are terrible and everything they did is terrible. And I was totally wrong then. Or you swing the other way, right? Or you're this category or that category. Or now, since Doreen's a Christian, everything she did was demonic. But that's been really harmful to people who loved her and studied her stuff and paid for certifications. Now they're worried they're playing with demons. Go read about it online. It's completely cuckoo. And I'm like, look, guys, maybe Doreen is just a little bit easy to influence. Just going to throw that out. Or maybe she wanted a new niche for her books. But you don't have to think everything she did. She doesn't need to say everything she did was demonic, first of all. I'm very well aware that, my Ascended Masters deck isn't demonic. But maybe not only was she easy to influence, maybe her followers were, right? Because now they're so worried. And I'm like, you guys don't be so worried. If you want to believe in that, that's great. Some of them get a little out there with some interesting things. But I don't think we need to make something wrong just to be right about something else. And I think we've really fallen into that trap in our society where we can't just talk about things and all be right. Because the reality is everyone is right where they stand. But if everyone's right where they stand, that means a lot of times we're wrong where we stand about where other people stand. And the interesting thing about religion is it really wants to be, in order to be right, everything else has to be wrong. But that's a bit ridiculous because if I were God, and I'm not, but if I were, and I created a lot of different people, I would give them lots of different options to find me, right? And connect with me. Otherwise, I'd create one kind of person and then give them one right answer and say, find this one right answer, this needle in the haystack of theories. Good luck. South Park has a great rendition on it, I think, where when somebody dies, they show them going to heaven and a bunch of different people go to heaven and they're like, I'm Catholic and I'm Protestant, I'm Jewish and I'm Christian. And, they're like, what was the right answer? And it ends up being some like random faith. And that was the right answer. And everyone else is like, oh, it's a bit silly. I think our God is loving and logical, as I will continue to say. And so things should be logical when we talk about them. And our God should be logical. And our God isn't going to say like, oh, I accidentally created an evil demon creature, but didn't reverse it. I still went with it. He was my best angel, but he turned on me. What can I say? And I didn't stop it, even though I know everything and know the future. And then I handed him Earth, all these creatures I love. But I was like, hey, have fun with them, torture them. And then after they die, if they don't find the needle in the haystack faith that I put out there for them, you can torture them in hell eternally. Worse than Putin or King Jong-un. Just play with their souls forever. Just torture them. That is not a logical, loving God. And I think we can have that conversation now. So not that there's anything wrong with a lot of those faiths, but the second you try to sell me that that's a loving God, we have a problem. Just own it. You have a capricious jerk of a guy that created you. And then it's cool. Then it makes a lot of sense. He gave people lots of options, but they're all wrong except for one. You get to find it. And, set us up to be played with by an evil demonic force. And isn't that nice of a God? But I think God is loving and logical. And so in that world, things are going to make a certain amount of sense. Like, I gave you a lot of options to find me. They're all right. But the second you think you're the only answer and it's okay to kill other people because you have the right answer and they have the wrong answer, you've gone off course. And you know how you're going to know? It's going to feel like crap and it's not going to turn out well. Logical. You can believe in all kinds of things, but the second you think I sent my own son, who I love more than all of you because you're just halflings, I guess, to die brutally to save you, but didn't change the rules of the game, and you're still going to call me loving, like that's not going to feel good. That's not going to make a lot of sense to you because it doesn't make sense. Either we're all God's children and equal, or he's playing favorites. That one race would be a favorite, that one faith would be a favorite. And so it's interesting to me that Doreen was so spiritual and so successfully spiritually, and then changed her tune and had to claim everything was demonic. That's all I was really talking about. And I think anytime you're doing damage to people by claiming what they believe when they were following you, that now what they're doing is demonic, is a little misled. Like, do your thing, but don't damage people, especially people that, bought your books. And shows a certain level of wishy-washiness that anyone should question and honor her journey, but maybe we shouldn't follow her on the next route. Again, not saying that there's anything wrong with Christianity, but the second you start to say that what other people have done with their lives where it brought them a lot of peace and healing is a bunch of poop-a-doop, maybe we don't have to do that. Maybe we don't have to squash people's dreams to find our own. Would kind of be my thought process there. Anyway, thanks. That's Thoughts on the Couch with the Impassioned Pots and her love shirt on an evening. Now I'm going to go have some pulled pork enchiladas with my hubby. Be well, my friend.